What's up, beautiful people? Taekwon Chardon. Welcome to Guerrilla Tactics, the only place that you could go to create guerrilla warfare for change.
Alright. Yeah. 3, 2. Beginning of the secrets to the life that you needed. Looking in my own eyes, knowing I couldn't defeat it. All the feelings in my soul, all my thoughts in total. Looking for.
So the topic that we're doing today is called the origin story. And I just gotta figure this out. Who's stronger, Superman or Goku? We'll find that one out. But anyways, welcome to Guerrilla Tactics. The reason why I'm doing this piece is because a lot of times, us as human beings, we become attached to other individuals as well as other things that's going on or happening around us inside of the world. So a lot of times we create what's known as idols. And these idols become fabrics of our own ideology or thought process of how we deal with things, how we move and things, stuff like that. And one thing I always like to do when I was helping people out is I used to use anime characters to signify situations. And a lot of times people would understand that. Why is it easier to understand a character versus you understanding an individual? Because the character is kind of like being behind a blank face. And sometimes it's easier to talk to somebody that has no understanding of what's going on in your life and no understanding what's going on in life, period, that pertains to you. So it's easier to talk to them because they won't be biased about anything that's going on. So going back to the topics of idols, one of the main characters or heroes that people talk about is Superman. And I brought up Superman because Superman is the red, white, and blue, and he's supposed to be the hero who protects, the whole entire world and saves people from crime situations and even superhuman beings that just come crashing into Earth and want to do some crazy whatever they want to do to Earth or whatever. And his whole purpose is pretty much to protect. But that's just the hero portion of it all. But if you look at the history of what he was being created for, it's almost as if he's like a modern day Messiah or a God, per se. And what happens is that when you start to watch these shows and you correlate yourself into these different heroes or characters, you find yourself really believing that they might be a god. And sometimes you get attached to idols. Now again, I believe in God. God says that you shouldn't follow any idols. Yeah, he's the only God, no other God shall come before me, right? So no God comes before God. So and there's no other gods, there's just one. Just one supreme. There's one, okay? But we get attached to idols, and sometimes we don't realize that we are attaching to idols. So a good example, you like basketball, right? So your favorite basketball player, you're making sure you're at every game. You make sure that you're keeping up with their knowledge and what's going on with their life and what's the next tabloid that's happening on TV, online, or whatever the case is, to get all the information you could get about them, right? But you don't realize that what's happening is you're creating an idol within that person. And yeah, you could say that, when we were in school, they asked us who's our idol. And, as kids, you don't understand, and you just answering the question from the way they tell you. So 9 times out of 10, just your mom, your dad, your aunt, your best friend, whatever the case is. But what happens is that you're not understanding that when you attach yourselves to these idols, you're giving them superiority over you. And that superiority starts to build over time. So I'm bringing this up to say, when we look at Superman, we see him as a hero. Superman is the hero. He wears the red and the blue, and he saves the day. And when you look at him, you see him flying in the sky, and you see the sun shining on him, the whole 9. But what happens when the so-called hero was also known as a monster? So now we're going to go over to the Frankenstein monster. Now, if you see me looking down, I have notes. So I'm going back to my notes to pretty much go through, whatever my notes are saying. So what does it mean to bear power, and what responsibilities does okay, scratch that. Originally, superheroes started with the Frankenstein monster, not Superman. The Frankenstein monster was created by a bunch of different products and animals and things in order to create life into a inanimate person or a created person. And what happens is when the scientists created this creature, he brought him to life from the lightning from the sky. Now, the Frankenstein monster, though, himself was actually very soft in nature, same as Superman. And another hero that you could probably think of or that pops into mind during that would also be the Hulk. And he's very like nice in nature, and he doesn't want to harm anyone. And from the way he looks, it looks like he's going to destroy everybody. But from the way he is in his heart, he's actually very soft, and he loves life in itself, right? But humanity saw the Frankenstein monster as a monster. Why? Why did they see him as a monster? Well, they saw him as a monster because of his appearance and the way that he looked. At least that's what the series says. But if you go into taking Superman and replacing him with the Frankenstein monster, Superman kind of went through the same process. Humanity had a hard time realizing that there's someone different on Earth that is here to make a change. Okay? If you look at the Frankenstein monster, though, his nature and who he is in his heart is actually what we should follow. To find the best values of ourselves, to be kind, to be loving, to show mercy, all that different type of stuff. But when you look at Superman, you see all that, but then still, even though he was nicer in appearance, we still kind of denied him. It took a long time for humanity to accept Superman for who he was. It took a lot of battles, a lot of fights. Why? Simple, because he wasn't human. Anytime there's something separate from us, and our genome and who we are, our identity, our DNA, anytime something is different from us and capabilities, we look at them and we say, whoa, that's a God. Period. When you look at LeBron playing ball, he's the God of ball. It's a God. Why? Why do you think that? Because no one's doing what he does, the way he thinks about ball, how he correlates his movements and which directions he knows to go. See, the defense thinking that I'm gonna catch him, but he's already 3 moves away from where the defense is paying attention to. He moved over here, came up, pump fake, came up to the top, hit with the finger roll, but they thought it was going up. He actually switched it and brought it over to the other side. You didn't even see it coming. So basketball players, or those who are imbued into basketball, will look at LeBron and say, that's Bron. That's the king. That's the God, Bron. Like the whole nine. And you get hyped. You're just like, yeah. But you just created an idol. Sad to say, but you created an idol. We see higher values in being in individuals who could do things that we can't. The moment we see that we can't do something that person could do, how'd you do it? Next thing, like it could be as small as you wanting to be their friend, or you wanting them to train you. Oh no, and then what happens is you don't see it, but when you're around people that's around you and y'all talking to each other and you got that person in that same area and they be like, that's Ty. You don't know Ty? You don't know LeBron? Are you serious? Let me tell you about Bron. Like, you start giving them names, you start doing all that, like, but you don't realize that you just created an idol out of that person. Now you want to be that person. You want to be like that person. You want to know how they did it. And what's their thought process? Where they going? I'm saying all that to say is the same thing with Superman and Frankenstein monster. Superman had more love because of his appearance, but he still went through the same trials and the same problems that the Frankenstein monster went through. So in hindsight, they are no different. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is because both of them are misunderstood and both are not accepted. Okay? They weren't accepted. Superman went a very long way before man finally said, I'm going to accept you. And even before that, he was afraid to even show himself as being Superman because of that factor. You know what I'm saying? Fundamentally, they're the same. Both were misunderstood, both not accepted. But why? Well, let's go back into history and talk about that. This is actually human history. Let's talk about why they weren't accepted. So back in history, people believed that there was not a need for a Superman or superhero. That's simply because humanity felt they should be represented by anyone. They shouldn't be represented by anyone unless they were human. Humans are very prideful. We're prideful beings. We want to be able to have control over everything. Hence why we keep grabbing more knowledge, trying to gain more wisdom. In fact, me standing right here in front of this video is part of that. You know what I'm saying? I have this knowledge and this wisdom that I feel I need to bring to the masses. And there's probably individuals out there who are probably looking and saying, you know what, I didn't think about that topic, or I was afraid to talk about that. Let's talk about it. But the point of it all is that we want to have control over the situation. So if you think about it like this, if God decided to say, I'm going to send my greatest angel to come down to earth to represent heaven, right? And then God said, I'm going to grab one of the demons, the devil, whatever, to represent the demons or to represent the bad side. So who's going to represent humanity? We want it to be one of us. It's got to be a full-blood human. And you know what I'm saying? Can't be a half human, half animal. Can't be a Superman that came from Krypton, or a Frankenstein monster who technically in his own right was human but still was mixed with a bunch of other stuff, so we classify him as a monster. We want to be represented as human. Humanity saved humanity. And that's why it's so hard for us to think that we need a hero. Why is it so hard for individuals to accept God? Why was it hard for them to accept Jesus, even though Jesus sat there and showed you exactly what he did? He brought Nazareth back to life. And he came late when he did it. He touched a man and made him, from him being blind, made him see. So he physically did these things in front of humanity, and then still humanity didn't see it. They still doubted him when he said that he is the King of heaven, the King of man. You know what I'm saying? We couldn't believe that. That was blasphemy. You know what I'm saying? Why? Because to us, he's claiming to be something that's not us. So he can't represent us if he's not us, right? So instead, we had to see him as what? He's just a common prophet. He's just a common carpenter. That's what they said when they nailed him. You're nothing but a carpenter. If you're Jesus, if you're the Son of God, how about you get yourself out of this situation? But let's look at what set him apart from us. See, when someone says something like that to us, we got to defend ourselves now. And I know you didn't say that to me. I'm going to show you what I could do. But Jesus didn't do that. He stayed silent and he took the beating anyways. There's a difference from us. Okay? So when you look at the Frankenstein monster and you look at Superman, the reason why they weren't accepted was because of the fact that they weren't human. Superman may have looked human, but he wasn't human. He was an alien from another planet. So why couldn't we accept Jesus? Because Jesus had something we couldn't. And we couldn't believe that this man, human, flesh and blood, is telling us that he could do things we can't. And we do that every single day. When we go across at many different places, somebody try to tell you about something they know. If you know something that you think you know better than that person, you're ready to now tell them that they don't know what they're talking about. But I know this. You can't tell me about what I know. Let me tell you about what I know. You know what I'm saying? We do that every day, but we do it without realizing. You know what I'm saying? So let's go back into it. Humanity is not looking for anyone to save them. They just want to find a way to save themselves. And that's why we keep building on knowledge, building on understanding. That's why we keep reading and trying to create new things so that we're always a step ahead. Always steps ahead. But then we find ourselves lost because we find that the only people that's willing to help us and save us better than we are is those like the Frankenstein monster or Superman. Somebody that's just separate or apart from us. Okay? So we detach ourselves from help from other individuals because we want to be the ones in control. Then the reason, that's why I brought all of this up. Is Superman a man or a myth? See, in the olden day Superman series, when you looked up, They said, oh, is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, that's Superman. You know what I'm saying? But they had to classify him as many different things before they brought him there. You know what I'm saying? We're afraid to talk about Jesus, but we have no problems talking about Santa Claus. We're afraid to celebrate his birthday, but we have no problems making an Easter bunny. You know what I'm saying? We're creating idols without realizing it. We create idols when we see an ad online. We see it on TV. When you're in your YouTube, you created an idol. Why? That's why your YouTube starts to put up different things that it knows you like, because you idolize whatever you saw. So you keep watching more of whatever you saw, and YouTube is now reflecting what you wanted to watch. All these different things plays a part. You know what I'm saying? All of it plays a part. And right now, probably a lot of y'all probably looking at me and telling me, yo, he's bugging. Like, you talking about Superman and Frankenstein being the same. Why you bring up Jesus? I'm going to bring up Jesus. I love God. But the point of it all is that when we want to be saved, a lot of us do. A lot of us want to find purpose, but we're trying to find purpose in things that just are out of our reach. And instead of giving it to whoever has the capability to do that, which to me is God, we try to take matters into our own hands. And then when we find ourselves into an impossible situation, the first thing we're ready to do is say, why me? Why is destiny attacking me? Why is the world coming at me? Why am I always the one who got it hard? Well, you're not. We all do. Common superheroes that we created in our minds, that we created into characters, have problems just like us. Now it's going to, because I was telling you guys about how, you know, sponsors and commercials and stuff plays a part. I brought that up. It's the same thing though. When we go into the school systems, we're taught to believe certain things. We follow certain knowledge in order to understand how to go further in life, right? But we find ourselves that a lot of times the knowledge we learn from school didn't carry us anywhere. We went and got these big degrees to find ourselves in jobs that had nothing to do with our degrees. Sorry. I went to school. I went to college. I went to Southern Connecticut State University. I didn't fully graduate. Could have. But I went through a lot of hardships. I was a major in sociology, minor in criminal justice and psychology. And I originally went into that profession because I wanted to be an FBI agent, but I'm nowhere near in that profession. Psychology and sociology and criminal justice now helps me with what I'm doing right now. But did that carry me where I needed to go? No. Because your life begins to create its own cycle. Like you're going to find yourself in one place at one moment because that's where your passion lies at the moment. And then you might find yourself at a different place later. You know what I'm saying? From where you were to where you are is different. But you have to stop trying to idolize things and find value in your own capability. And in order to do that, you have to stop saying that you could be more than what you are. Just because you're human doesn't mean you're not a hero. You know what I'm saying? Just because you're human doesn't mean you don't have a power. Our brain is our power. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at the screen, but every single day when you're walking around and doing all that, your brain just took up information that you wasn't even paying attention to. You probably took up millions of forms of information in a second and didn't realize it. And then later on, when something gets brought up, that thing that was in your memory bank comes back and like, I remember that. That's this, that, and the third. And you have no idea where you got it from. That's a power. Our eyesight. And what we're able to see far away or close up. And yeah, some of us might have issues with it, but still, that's a power for us to see a peripheral from here to this side to this side. The ability to hear. Sometimes you can hear so well that you hear high-pitched noises. That's high-pitched noises is really high-frequent sounds. So if you can hear that, then that means you have high ear value. That's a power. Our bodies and our muscles expands the more we work on them. And they become stronger, bigger, smaller, depending on what we do. That's adaptability. That's a power. We don't have to idolize other things to find greatness in ourselves. Superman found value in being a human before he found value in being Superman. The Frankenstein monster had the heart of a human before he used anything of any capability he had as the Frankenstein monster. We got to stop being selfish. We got to stop thinking that we got to be the ones to save people. We got to be the ones to fix things. I used to do the same thing. I used to go around thinking I could save everybody. I have the knowledge, let me give it to this person so they don't fall. I have the knowledge here, let me give it to that person so they don't fall. But you know what? God gave me that knowledge. He didn't tell me to go and give that same specific knowledge to someone else. He told me to guide them. Sometimes I can give someone a knowledge and they not accept it because they don't get it. You could try to save somebody and they won't take your help because they don't see it yet. Because it wasn't meant for them to see. It was for you to show your colors through how you walk. And hopefully that person might see something better in themselves. But to physically try to change them and fix them, you can't. Unless they want to. And that's what I mean by idolization. When we look ourselves in the mirror, we think that we're imperfect. Why? Because we're not that model. We're not that light skinned down the road. Or whatever the case is. We want to look like everybody else. We want to be everybody else but who we are. Man, I'm Taekwondo Chardo and I'm skinny as all get out. I love my anime, as you can see. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be me. I'm also strong, kind, polite. The whole nine. But I also have sides of me too. I could be hard-headed and whatever other flaws I may have. You know what I'm saying? But you're the same way. So you have to stop being afraid of who you are and just continue to be who you are. Sometimes being unique is better than being anything else. Dare to be different. Dare to be who you are. You know what I'm saying? If you like anime, like anime. If you like being a geek, like being a geek. But we find idols, and sometimes we might even find idols at ourselves. We create ourselves into an idol. We could be so bold-headed to the point where we think that we got it all. We could fix everything. I have all the answers. And there's nothing I can't do. I'll beat anybody in any sport or any game. You know what I'm saying? People talk like that. And it's funny, but it's the reality of things. And sometimes having the power isn't great. Only who uses it is great. You know what I'm saying? I think it was Samson. Samson had a superpower. He had super strength, right? But he only had super strength as long as he had his long hair. Okay? So he used that strength for whatever he used it for. But then, you know what happened? He was still human. So he fell to emotion. He let his guard down. His hair was cut and he lost his power. But then when you go even further than that, you look at David and Goliath. Goliath had raw power. David didn't. But God said, I give you power over dominion and power over everything. So therefore, I give you the strength to fight this Goliath. He threw a stone at him and won. He threw a stone at him. Power. That's it. And he had nothing but the confidence to know that he could do it. And everybody else sat there and looked at him like he was crazy, he was bugging, he didn't know what he was talking about. But all his focus was on was himself and God. You know? So we have to start realizing the power we have. And start realizing the power God instilled into all of us. Just because we're human doesn't mean that we're not strong. Just because you could be short does not mean that you don't have power. You could have short legs doesn't mean that you're not fast. You might have a disability or a circumstance that's going on with you mentally does not mean you're not intelligent. Does not mean you're not normal. You're normal. You're a human being. But in order to understand who we are, in order to understand who others are, we have to stop trying to blind ourselves to what we only know and start asking for help and start listening. Sometimes you just need to listen. You know, we debate all the time and we try to understand everybody, but We can't. Unless you listen. You can't understand me if you don't know me. I can't understand you if I don't know you. And in order to build on that, you have to slow down and listen sometimes. You know? Let's converse. Let's talk. Let's not fight. We ready to throw a fist all the time rather than sitting down and chat. Think about how many wars we could have avoided if we just sat down and had tea. You know? And that's the whole concept. So we look at these heroes, Superman, Frankenstein monsters, Frankenstein monster, the Hulk, or whatever the case is, and all we're looking at is their raw power and their capability. But let's really look at their personalities in itself. Superman had all this power, but he restrained most of it because he didn't want to destroy the city. He didn't want to hurt human beings. So he restrained most of his powers every time he fought. So he didn't hurt anybody. That shows responsibility. The Frankenstein monster had the kindest heart. He had the kindest heart. He didn't want to hurt anybody. The Hulk. Just because he was the Hulk and he was angry didn't mean he didn't have a kindness to him. You know what I mean? Those are the things that we need to pay attention to. Not just, oh, I'm super strong, I can move faster than the speed of light, and so on and so forth. What can you be a leader that people want to follow? Can you take a depressed person and allow them to see value in themselves? Can you change the neighborhoods? Can you change the violence that goes on a 24/7 basis? Can you stop bullying? Those are powers that you should have. Those are powers you should pay attention to. So I brought all this to your attention because instead of trying to be everything but who we are, let's be who we are. Let's be the best version of ourselves. Let's stop dictating who we are based off what everybody else feels or say that we are. Let's stop trying to change who we are because we think that we're less than Betty down the block or Jonathan up the road. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Young ones, I know you're in school. You got the popular kids. You got the non-popular kids. Look, you're all popular. You're all amazing. Okay? Stop trying to be like the popular kids and then doing a bunch of stuff that's just going to get you in trouble, because at the end of the day, when you go further in life, it's not, whatever that you did in high school is not going to be carried with you. It might actually mess up your life if you keep acting up. Find value in you first. Self-care. There's a lot of things people talk about nowadays. So, is Superman a hero or is he a myth? Is he a hero or is he the monster? Well, my friends, I'm here to tell you right now, besides Superman, us as human beings, we could be either one. You could be the hero, you could be the monster, but only you dictate your life because you have the free will to do so. So, choose to do better, choose to grow, to be strong, to be amazing, and create fruit to life. Don't destroy. All right, thank you for enjoying this show. Once again, welcome to Guerrilla Tactics. Check out my channel right up here. Please, I need you guys to leave a like. I need you to leave a comment. I need you to subscribe, and then most importantly, hit that notification bell. Support me, please. And have a blessed day. All right, peace.
Yeah. Life just moves on. Alright. Yeah. 3, 2. The beginning of the secrets to the life that you needed. Looking in my own eyes, knowing I